Hi, it's Robbie.
How are you?
I'm okay. How's it going?
I'm good. This is Matt in Edmonton.
Hey, Matt in Edmonton. How is it out west today?
A little warmer. A
Really?
little warmer than it's been the past few days.
Hallelujah.
I think we're at +1, maybe.
Really?
How is it? And where are you? Toronto?
Yeah.
How is it there?
Well, it's actually beautiful here today. It's a beautiful sunny day. A little brisk, but
A little brisk.
that's to be expected.
How long are you in Toronto for? I mean, I saw you at the Junos the other day. I guess you're there for the week doing press?
I am. I'm here, and then on the weekend they're inducting me into the Canadian Songwriter Hall of Fame.
Wow.
So, yeah, a very nice honor.
That it is, and we'll try and get to that in a little bit, actually. But I know we don't have much time, so let's start with the first solo disc in 13 years. How to Become Clairvoyant out next week. I guess why so long?
Well, just because that's not what I do all the time. I don't, I'm not on that merry-go-round of, I need to make an album every year or two or whatever that is. I got off that a long time ago, and I try to do, to the best of my ability, I try to do things when I feel inspired to do them. And I find that if I do that, I'm more inclined to do some good work rather than somebody, pounding on the door saying, "Hurry up!" and you got a deadline. So
then, what was the inspiration for this? Did it just come down from the heavens, like it tends to do with songwriting?
It is a mysterious thing. I can make a joke out of it, but it really is that, Matt. Some things just start flowing through you, and you get this feeling, and you think, "Oh my God, there's a path here, and I'm going to follow this path, and if it leads me somewhere, really beautiful, I'm going to take advantage of it." And it's just kind of like that. I didn't sit down and say, "Oh my God, how long has it been? Oh, it's time." There was none of that. It was really about ideas were coming to me, and the people around me that I was gathering and everything were, very excited about, what I was onto and the songs I was writing. And it just all builds and builds and builds until, you feel like it's carrying you rather than you carrying it.
That makes it sound like it was almost all done recently. This isn't a batch of songs from like the past 10 years of your lives?
No. This is the majority of these songs are things that I wrote in the last while, for this project. There was a couple of seeds of ideas that were planted some years ago when Eric Clapton and I were kicking around some ideas and talking about someday the possibility that we would do something together. And we pulled those ideas out and then finished writing them. Like there's a song on the record called "Fear of Falling."
I think that's my favorite on the record, actually, speaking of
Oh,
it.
really?
Yeah, it's got it's very band-esque, but it's also got that 90s Clapton feel.
Uh-huh.
It's like, I don't know. There's the Wurlitzer, the acoustic. It's nice.
Yeah. That was something that Eric and I had, some time back. We got a little bit of a song structure on it. We had one verse, and then he was off doing other things, and I was off doing other things, and then when we came back to it, we said, let's see if we can finish up that song. It was feeling pretty good, and that's what this is.
How much influence did he have on the record? I read somewhere online that it was almost like a collaboration between the two of you throughout the record. Is that something that you just hear online, or is that the truth?
Well,
or is it just a few songs?
He was tremendously supportive because he invited me to come to London and go in the studio with him, and we were just going to see what happened. I didn't know whether we were making an Eric record or a duet record or a Robbie record. And we went into the studio, just him and I and the bass player and the drummer. And then Steve Winwood came in and helped us out on a few tracks. And we cut all the tracks for this album. And after we cut the tracks, it was Eric who said he thought that it was obvious that it was my record because I wrote most of the stuff. And I had kind of the focus. But he said that he was, thrilled to be able to just be, helping out and supportive and do anything that I wanted him to do. He's really a dear old friend. So anyway, when I finished up over there, then when I came back to California, I had another project that I had to finish, and then I came back to the record, and at that point, that's when I didn't have those guys with me then, so I had to figure out the casting of who the characters were that I wanted to play these other parts, and that's when I brought in Tom Morello and Trent Reznor and Robert Randolph and Angela McCluskey to do specific things that I had in mind.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure they were more than happy to do so as well.
Oh, we had a great time.
It's a very guitar-heavy record again for you. I love it, and I wonder if that's because Eric was part of it, or is that something you had wanted to do?
It was something that I wanted to do, but Eric and I playing together helped set that groundwork for it, that it needed to continue in that direction. And I think that this is probably the most guitar playing that I've ever done on any of my records.
It sounds like it, yeah. Is it all you doing all the stuff, like the even the tune "He Don't Live Here Anymore," the song we're playing a lot of, the first single, the acoustic solo comes out of nowhere. You don't expect an acoustic guitar in that part.
I know. Yeah, that's I did that.
Yeah, and it's fantastic.
Eric plays the electric guitar on that track, and I played the acoustic.
Why an acoustic solo? Because that really comes out of nowhere. I love it. Don't get me wrong, but it's so different.
I was just trying to avoid the obvious.
Makes sense.
And it just, this guitar that I played on that was used a lot on this record. Eric played it on 3 songs, and I played it on You Don't Live Here No More and Tango for Django. And it's an old 1927 0045 gut string.
Oh, wow.
And that Eric just loved playing, and I loved playing, and it became just kind of our partner in the in the whole thing. We would just reach for it.
I want to keep going through some of the songs on the record. When the Night Was Young, which I thought would be a great title for the memoir when it comes out.
Well, geez, thank you very much.
No, it's
not a bad idea.
We'll talk about the memoir in a second, but I want to talk about the tune because it sets a tone for the record of looking back. And I don't know what brought you to the point of being comfortable to look back, and especially look back on record and have it out there for the world to hear.
Because this particular period, there was something in the air then, and it was a pivotal time in the culture in North America. And it's when I'm reflecting on a time when the Hawks left Ronnie Hawkins, and we went down south, and we were playing all of these strange, weird places, and all the characters that we were intermingling with, and it was a fascinating time. And there was something in the air, and we did this whole thing through the South, and then we came back up north, and that's when we hooked up with Bob Dylan, and I ended up living at the Chelsea Hotel with Edie Sedgwick, and that's how Andy Warhol comes into the picture, because he was crazy about her, and he would always show up in the hotel lobby, and they would call my room and say, "Is Miss Sedgwick there? Mr. Warhol's down here looking for her." She would say, "Tell him I'm not here. Tell him I'm not here." So I'd have to make up some story for her. But anyway, what the point of all of this is while we were on this kind of crazy carnival run on this musical odyssey, that at that time, music was becoming the voice of this generation. And this generation was tremendously unified. And their voice was becoming stronger and stronger and more powerful to the point that they were really making changes. And today, when I look around, I find everything so fragmented and so dispersed that there is no voice of the generation. And there is no unity of the generation. And I miss that. And I know that a lot of young bands, without having been there, miss that, because they just don't know how to grasp on that thing, because it does have a very deep ongoing feeling, that something like that, when people talk about the late 60s and everything and musicality, it was just growing out of the ground, and everybody was doing extraordinary things, and one thing built something else stronger and stronger. And so anyway, it's just it's a time that I'm reflecting on that I just can't help but miss.
Mm-hmm. It's like the technology now is what's taken over the mass culture and what's influencing the kids as opposed to the music, and it's almost sad.
Well, but great things come out of from every direction. And technology is making what's happening in the Middle East possible right now.
That's a good point.
So, there is a balance in this thing. I'm just talking about the evolution of what's been happening in North America.
Mm-hmm.
That all of a sudden it feels stagnated. It doesn't feel like anybody really has that big of a point of view. And if you do, it sounds a little bit backward almost.
Mm.
So it's like, where have we gone here? I mean, we were building something, and now it just seems to be some ruins from the past.
What was you mentioned Bob Dylan in there, and it got me thinking how important music was for people. I was wondering if I could get a memory from you about the Manchester show, the infamous Judas show in '66. Were you guys scared? I talked to Garth a few months ago, and he said he was a little frightened to be on the road at the time.
It was unpredictable. We were in the middle of a musical revolution, and whenever there's extreme changes taking place, anything goes. So one day you could laugh at it. The next day, someone could be charging you with a pair of scissors. You know what I mean? So you had to, you couldn't dismiss this. And the idea of playing all over North America, Australia, and Europe, and every night you go out there, people boo you and throw stuff at you. It builds character.
Yeah, I was going to say, did it make you want to play even better for them to change their minds?
Yes, and we did. We got better.
I'm sure you did.
In the beginning, they might have had a perfect right to be booing. It wasn't that good, but we got better.
And I guess the epitome of Get Better would be that Last Waltz concert, a tune that you kind of reference in This Is Where I Get Off on the new record, an end of touring. So you're not going to tour this record at all? You're not going to do any shows?
Well, I'll do some things in support of the record. I'll probably, I'll do some television shows or things. I don't want to be, disrespectful to this work because I'm very proud of what we were able to accomplish on this record, and it's a record unlike anything I've ever made before. So I want to do everything I can for that, but I won't be getting on the bus.
Right, fair enough.
Hey, Matt, so just 2 more minutes?
Yep, sounds good.
Thanks.
Then we do something on the show called 5 questions. 5 quick questions, 1-word answers. And I guess I know the answer to the first one already. Road or studio? What do you prefer?
Studio.
I figured. Lennon or McCartney?
Lennon.
Most important thing in a song, lyrics, melody, or rhythm?
Rhythm.
Song you've written you're most proud of?
Oh, it's more than one word.
That's okay.
Rag Mama Rag.
Oh, nice. And in 1 word, Robbie Robertson.
Hopeful.
Nice. I guess we talked about a few of the new songs. I was wondering if I could get a couple of just little storyteller bits from you. The Wait.
Well, yeah, when I wrote The Wait, it was a backup song in case something else didn't work on the record. It was not like we all recognized this is a song that is going to be, a center of our existence forever. It wasn't like that. And then when we recorded it, then we recognized that. We said,
It's always the B-sides that always make the biggest hits. That's so weird.
Yeah.
Dixie, because it references my birthday. It makes me very happy.
Your birthday's on what?
May the 10th.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Dixie, this came from my first experience when I was hired by Ronnie Hawkins. And I went from Toronto down to the Mississippi Delta, where their headquarters were. And it was like going to the holy land of rock and roll. And the impressions that I got at that vulnerable age impacted me so strongly that a few years later, when I was sitting down to write songs, this is what I reached for. This is what I had up in my attic, stored away, of things that I wanted to write the new mythology of.
And before I let you go, Cripple Creek.
Well, Cripple Creek was somewhere between funny and desperate, and which is the way a lot of us feel nearly every day. And so it really was a play on what was going on a lot in our lives at the time of the band. And it was a place between, everybody having a good laugh and everybody saying, whoa, this is a bit crazy. Hang on, this is going to be a bumpy ride.